I've been taking the product now for about 6 months, and one of the things I noticed over the holidays it was a profound experience. I was with some family, and after 2 or 3 days with family, sometimes things can go awry, right? And arguments can ensue. So I come into the room and I start talking to a couple of members of my family, and there was another person there who didn't like what I was saying, even though I wasn't necessarily speaking to her. And she said something really nasty to me. And I have to say that in the past, I would have probably turned and snapped and responded into anger and had that, 4 or 5 seconds of ego gratification for, I'm putting her in her place, right? And
Mhm.
but it was like time stood still, and I was able to, it's almost like the Matrix. I was outside of myself, and it was almost like my soul was saying, like, okay, here's your chance. How do you want to respond to this? And I was able in real time, without even, it didn't appear like I was pausing or anything to everybody else in the room. But for me, it was like this went on for a couple of minutes almost, even though it was happening in nanoseconds.
Mm.
And instead of responding and reacting in anger, I just kind of smiled and turned away and went back to the people that I was talking to. And in doing that, I influenced my reality. I changed the reality of everybody in that room, because now all of a sudden my wife wasn't going to be angry at me for responding. My son wasn't going to be disappointed in me for acting like that. And I wasn't going to then have regret for 2 or 3 days
Right.
for responding in this way.
Well, it's a great example of what happens when we become more tuned to our soul, more tuned to that higher you, right? Whether you want to call it your higher self, or, your spirit, inner guidance, inner wisdom, we can give it many names. But I think as we become more and more tuned in to those deeper core essences of us, and especially when you recognize, like, if you're starting to create a practice that is bringing you into a more harmonized state on a regular basis, and then you know what that feels like, and you know who you are in that state, and this is my center, this is my point of balance, this is my reference point. Then when something comes from outside, whether it's another person saying something snarky or it's an event, you can recognize very quickly when it starts to pull you out of that balance point.